It was very unforgettable. I was not planning on coming at all, and then Wesley called me and he was like, you should come and audition, you know, you might as well, why not? And I was like, oh, I don't know, because I was at a friend's house hanging out with other people, and my best friend Jessica was there with me, and I told her about it, and she was like, well, hey, let's go do it, why not? And so I was like, okay. So we drove maybe like 45 minutes to get here, and got here, and I was super nervous. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, because this was my first time auditioning for something, I mean, pretty legit, you know? And so I was freaking out, and Jessica went before me, and then I went in there and I read the lines. I was thinking, oh, I'll be Maria and blah, 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 blah. I didn't have any other character in mind. And then you guys were like, well, how about you go out for a little bit? We're going to talk. And I was thinking, oh, I'm doomed. This is it. There's no way I'm going to get this part. And so I left, and I was freaking out. I was telling Jessica and Wes, I was like, they told me to leave, and they'll call me back in. I don't know what's going on. And then I come back in, and you guys were like, okay, we want you to read for Celia. And I was like, Celia, are you serious? Isn't she like a mom, older, married? And so I read for Celia, and I was definitely not thinking that it would happen, but you guys just said that it clicked and that it worked. And so yeah, it was very, very unexpected audition, definitely. So. My experience playing someone older was very difficult at first. The fact that I was older, that's one thing, but the fact that I was a mother to two children, that was super difficult, because I've never had any younger siblings to deal with. I've done a little bit of babysitting, but you know, I've never had the experience of being a mother. And so that was very difficult for me at first. And the fact that I was married to someone, that was difficult too. Just, you know, thinking about the things that a married wife has to do, the things she has to take care of, her responsibilities, and just being a mother, that was difficult for me, definitely, in playing someone older. But as the time went on, I learned so much more about Celia and who her character was and what she portrayed in the film. And I honestly fell in love with her character, definitely. I definitely fell in love with who Celia was and what she stood for and how she kept everything pretty much together. So acting with John was actually, it was a mixture of things, because on set, when he was Peter, it was like I was having to deal with him being a jerk and not treating me the way that he should. So it was kind of like I was annoyed with him when I was Celia, but then when I was just Amaris, you know, me and John, we had a ton of fun together. I mean, he was hilarious. He always had me laughing. And so when it was time to act, when, you know, action was said, it was like, oh, okay, you know, this is not what it's actually like, you know, this is not what our characters are actually like. So, but playing with John was a lot of fun. He was just hilarious. I remember one scene, the scene where we all come together in the parking lot at the Christmas gathering thing, where all the issues are going on, and he drags me away at the end of it. The whole time he would be dragging me away from the camera, he was whispering all these hilarious things in my ear, like, come on, get over here. You're following me right now. And he was just dragging me across the parking lot while saying all this stuff. And I was trying to act all desperate, like, no, don't take me, while trying not to laugh and hold in the laughter. So, so it was definitely, it was a lot of fun playing with opposite of John. It was a lot of fun. I think it was also difficult trying to deal with, you know, my boyfriend, who was playing someone so much younger than me, you know, trying to deal with that aspect of, like, you know, why do I have to play someone so much older, you know? And actually, at first I was really upset about it, honestly. At the very beginning of the film, I was upset about having to play someone so much older. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I can't act like that. And as time went on, it was actually probably the best thing for me, because I was able to really see what I could do, and I was able to really in a way, test my acting skills on a whole different level than if I had played someone who I thought I should play, you know, someone younger, someone who was just falling in love, or something like that, you know. So it was a really great test of my skills and what I could do, and the gifts that God has given me to be able to play that character and make it believable. I didn't really get the sleep that I should have at night before filming happened. I definitely could have done a little bit better with that. And so I would come to set and I wouldn't be super sleepy the whole time, but when there was like a point where I didn't really have much going on, I would do the best I could to find like a little area or something I could just go and just snuggle and just fall asleep somewhere. And yeah, the most interesting was definitely in the chapel, because this was in some random church I had never been in before, and I was like, where am I gonna sleep in here? Because, you know, you guys were filming where the pews and stuff were, so I couldn't sleep on the pew. And so anyways, I just went exploring around in the church, and I found this little, I guess it was for elementary kids, but I found this little room that had this little area just with a bunch of pillows, and I was like, this is God-given. And so I just laid down, and that's all I remember is just that last thing. And then John comes down and has his phone and plays the song Celia or whatever, plays it super loudly in my ear when I'm resting so peacefully. And so he woke me up in a very interesting way that day. But yeah, I definitely think I enjoyed the naps that I had in between filming on set. I think definitely the most fun for me was hanging out with John. I hate to admit it, but I think it was definitely the most fun I had. It was definitely the most that I laughed was when I was with him. And also when Wesley would be there on, you know, days where I had to film, and he was just there to support me, and, you know, kind of someone that I could hang out with, you know, once we cut, and it was just kind of like he was there just to kind of help me relax a little bit more. And so I think that was definitely one of the funnest parts. And like, I remember in the Christmas scene at the very end where the family gathering thing, I remember when the wheelchair was there, and Wes and I were playing around in the wheelchair, and he was like pushing me super fast. And I remember one time he actually flipped me over in it, and I was like, what are you doing? And so yeah, I don't know, I think that was just fun to have him there. And for John to be there too, and just to, you know, remind me that, like, yeah, the film technically is more serious, but, you know, it was just a good relief to be able to laugh, you know, with everyone and laugh around him and everything. You know, making the best of situations. You know, the first day was definitely the toughest because everyone was kind of learning, you know, what to do and where everyone needed to be. But every time I would sort of maybe get a little frustrated with myself, or if I maybe didn't do something exactly right or exactly the way it was supposed to be, I just had to remind myself, you know, like, you just have to do it again, because it takes time, and you have to develop patience to learn how to portray a character properly, you know, and taking time to focus on character development and on how you interact with the other characters in a film. You know, I think that's something that I definitely matured in, and like I said, just in patience with a lot of things. The message to me was mostly about forgiveness and how important forgiveness is, because even in my own personal life, I have dealt with a lot of issues with forgiveness. And so I think even the film, watching it come together at the end, was just, it was just such a good, heartbreaking reminder that, you know, forgiveness is so important, because we hold on to these things that make us miserable, you know, honestly, and it's because we're not taking the time to say, you know, Christ forgave me and forgives me every day for the things that I do. So why can I not forgive someone, for something maybe that they've done to me? And so I think to me that was the biggest message. And seeing the film come together at the end was so much more impacting than I would have ever thought, because like you said, being on the set and just seeing little snippets of it, and that just didn't even do it justice, because at the end of the film, when it all came together, it was just like so impacting. And seeing the people who raised their hands, at the end to see how Christ had changed their lives, I mean, that just brought me to tears almost every time.